Hello, my name's Roy. I'm an MK Ultra survivor, and today I've got a friend of mine with me. His name's Daniel, and he's from the Netherlands. And Daniel would like to tell a bit of his story. And over to you, Daniel. Lovely to meet you, mate.
Yeah, nice to be in your talk finally. Yeah, I've been
Pleasure.
waiting for it for a long time, but valuable information to share, I think. And yeah, let's start with my story. Well, my name's Daniel. I live in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, quite in the middle. And well, I started experiencing strange things happening. I think it was around the middle of or the early part of 2022, maybe even earlier in 2019, end of. And I'd had a very rough breakup and I was doing quite bad. I was mentally not in a good place. And at the time was using a bit of drugs here and there. Uh, so what happened was I started hearing voices, very negative. At first, it was not so negative. At first, it was like jokes about me and stuff. And then suddenly it started turning really negative, and it switched from sounding like it was my neighbors to sounding like it was operatives from an intelligence agency. And they actually said to me in the voices, they said, "We are from the AIVD and the MIVD, and we have electromagnetic weapons, sonic weapons, and electromagnetic weapons combined with sonic weapons. We have weapons nobody's ever heard of." That was one of their opening sentences to me. So that's how they introduced themselves, basically. And they made me think that it was my neighbors, that they lived in my neighbor's house for a long while. Of course, that wasn't the case. I found out later. And yeah, they did lot of horrible things, said a lot of horrible things. And yeah, basically after a while, I started figuring out something else was going on because at that time I'd seen a psychiatrist and I was put on a lot of medication, but it was too much. So and I had another job, but it wasn't going very well because I couldn't focus and I was still having a bit of stuff going on. So I decided to go off the medication, and lo and behold, I started feeling a lot better. So I decided to get another job and learn another programming language to get another job, which I did, and I ended up at a new place. And as soon as I was working and happy and comfortable, it started again. But this time, it wasn't just voices and tingling; it was actually uh, disabling my cognitive function. So at any point in the day at work, I could just get this attack, sweating, and it would be like I could read a sentence 5 times and not remember what it said, or I could not focus on anything in particular. So my memory didn't work, my attention didn't work. Now, the thing is, I'm on ADHD medication, so my attention is pretty much fine usually. That's dealt with. But when these attacks happen, I just become an idiot. I can't focus on anything. So anyway, that's how it started flaring back up again. And at the same time, the physical attacks got worse, especially at night. Tends to keep you awake, try to keep you awake, both by targeting your body and also by just talking continuously. And after a while, I started. Actually, quite from the beginning, I noticed something in me said something's not right here. So I started recording everything using applications like one of them is called Hair Boost. It's a very good application. It can record sound in the environment and amplify it by 2000%. So yeah,
Wow.
quite a lot. Now the thing is, you can show this audio to friends of yours and they won't hear the voices. But I've done some analysis on the audio itself, and if you look at the amplitude envelope, which is actually the Hilbert analytic function, you get the amplitude envelope of the audio file. And if you then reproduce the words you've heard in the audio, and you record that, and you take the amplitude envelope of that, they actually match up. So that tells me that there's information in the audio that cannot be heard by others, but can
Wow.
at some point in the future we may be able to build a machine learning system
Great information.
yeah, to get it out of there. So that's one thing I discovered. So I decided to record everything that happened, and every time I get hacked or every time something happens, I'm messaging a friend and messages disappear or reappear, or the little check marks they don't appear or do appear. Every time that happens, I record it, and I just record everything that happens. I keep it kind of a journal, and yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the way I've been doing it. And then at some point, I decided to do software development for this, to start programming things. It started out with simple filtering, audio filtering, couldn't get it out with that. Then I started using spectral methods like spectral salience. I got it to sound a bit more clear for myself, but still others could only hear the consonants. It was a bit better, but and a friend of mine could hear one or two words. My father could hear a bit of
Wow.
mumbling, but it was still not. It still didn't bring it out. So it's not the way to do it. But then I started programming other things, and I've been focusing on hardware as well now. So I want to build a system that uses a lot of EMF detectors in a circle, and then
Right.
calculates like from one point to the other point in the circle when there's a beam active, when it
Yeah.
protrudes the circle. So you can actually calculate the angle around your bed. If you put it around your bed, you can calculate the angle at which the beams are hitting you, and then
Right.
you can calculate back, are they coming from telecom towers or aircraft radars, or where they're coming from. That's what I'm
Brilliant.
planning on doing. It's still a long project, and I'm doing it on my own, so I've only got part of the software done yet. But yeah, I started doing these
Wow.
kinds of things just to make it easier for TIs to detect and record stuff. So another two things I've got in the works is a chat GPT powered chatbot, which is going to be using embeddings from all kinds of documents that I've been gathering, which is a separate server. It's called documents.subliminalindustries.eu.
Okay.
I'll give you the links later.
Great.
But the documents that I put in there are going to be the training material for the AI, and then TI is going to ask it questions, and they will get more realistic answers that are based on science and DoD grants, current cutting edge science, just to see how it's done. So that's the stuff I've been doing, and
Brilliant.
I've got a lot more to say about that. But yeah, that was the introduction, I think.
Thank you for everything that you're trying to do from the bottom of my heart, honestly.
Yeah,
Because this is big stuff, isn't it? And
it is. Yeah,
it's hurting so
yeah,
many people, on a
yes,
global
yeah.
basis.
It's an
I speak to
extremely
hundreds.
Yeah, it's an extremely sneaky, extremely vile and evil program
Yeah,
because I get the impression it's a depopulation program. Not only that, it's a population control plus depopulation. But the question I always ask myself is, why does it have to be so evil? Why is this AI that's behind it trained like a psychopath? Why not
yeah.
have some kind of easy?
Well, there's reasons for that. Because
Yeah.
they want to keep us on edge, don't they?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
keep us in the loop. They
Yeah.
had me going round in circles for nearly
Yeah.
28 years,
Yeah. They want to
you
cash out
know.
on it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, they can make money if you go to psychiatry. They can make money if you go
Yeah,
to prison. They can make money, anyway. If you end up somewhere else that can make money off, they can get it from you,
yeah,
medication or yeah, whatever. So it's evil, evil. And by the way, if you lose your house, I have a couple of ideas where that house is going to end up. There's a couple of big companies in the news lately that are buying up all the property in the world. So I think it's a concerted agenda and cognitive warfare is what it is. But NATO has had a lot of presentations on cognitive warfare, and they always present like China as the enemy and China's the one doing it,
yeah,
and we have to prepare and stuff. But then I found one presentation by NATO, I think it was 2 years ago, and they actually said in one of the beginning lines that they know how to interface with the brain and that it has been known.
yeah.
So they're doing it on their population. I'm pretty sure of that.
Well, the
Uh,
program's
yeah,
been around since 1953. It
yeah,
went
that was the start
underground
of
in
it.
1973,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's been underground for 50 years,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I think
it's perfected.
yeah, UK and I mean US is of course where the birthplace, but I think the UK had a lot of dealings with it
No,
as well.
the birthplace was Canada.
Could
The
be
actual
Canada. Yeah,
birth, yeah,
yeah,
it was actually British money,
yeah,
Canadian money, and
yeah,
American
and
money.
US. Those are the three names you see in the surviving documents. It's CAN, GBR or GB, and USA. So
Yeah,
those are
it
the
was
three
their
countries.
money.
Yeah. Yeah, but about the UK has a very advanced compute center. I don't know exactly which base it was at, but they have an underground facility with huge compute power. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the test beds for this. And yeah, who knows? But I do think I figured out the technology stack. So it's a bit different than
Great.
from what most people would naturally think of. But yeah, I would like to share it with you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I was quite a while ago, and I was playing around with a software-defined radio, and I stumbled upon a frequency that looked really strange, and it was behaving like it was reacting to me. Like the spectrum, it would move when I moved, and when I would converse with the voice to skull AI, the spectrum would sort of react to it. So that was not normal. I didn't know if it was interference with the antenna or if it was the actual signal, but I started to keep an eye on that frequency. And then I think it was the end of last year that frequency hopped a little bit in the spectrum to another place, or it went down. And I looked at the frequency plan for Holland, for Netherlands, and this block is called VHF3 Block 9C. And the only mention it gets is being under study. And what it looks like is it has uh, 43 adjacent frequencies, just bands like this. And they kind of wavy, so it looks like an over the horizon radar kind of. It looks like radar. But when you place an antenna in a central point in your room, and you walk around it at certain degree angles, azimuths, then you look at this spectrum, you'll see that wherever you are, one of these bands is going to be they're going to be fluctuating. So one of the bands is going to be less intense, and others are going to be a little bit more intense. So it's changing according to where your head is. That means I'm in the center of this signal. So
Wow.
that was one thing that led me on the path that this is not an ordinary signal. And then I went searching into documents. I went through the NATO Joint Frequency Plan, and I found it there. But I had to look it up through a document which is called Geneva 2006, which is some kind of radio conference document. And I found it being named as Land Mobile System R1 Medical Telemetry, but it's at 205.496 megahertz to 207.208 megahertz. That's the frequency range, but that frequency range is not used for medical telemetry at all, and not in any agreement. So that led me to the thought: might this be a very high tech system that is enabling this two-way system? You know, and I start searching more and more, and eventually I ended up in a very productive ChatGPT session. ChatGPT 4 is pretty intelligent, and it was able to show me exactly how using our current and previous generations of telecom infrastructure since 2015-16, it would be practical to implement a brain imaging system using these transmitters, these MIMO or massive MIMO transmitters. So that is, I think, how they do it. And I think this frequency is emanated from these telecom transmitters. That's something I'm still researching. I'm going to have to do a bit of direction finding and stuff to figure out if the if the locations of the
What we've
transmitters.
spoken about some so far, you're a
Yeah,
superstar. You're a superstar, Daniel, because this is going. I mean it, mate.
yeah.
Because you have got this tape, and it's fabulous to hear this. This is going to help so many.
Yeah, we really need to figure a way out to what we really need in the community is this. At this point, the community is totally fragmented because of lots of
Yes.
disinformation, lots of old-fashioned technologies that may have their uses in the laboratory, but
Yeah.
the simple answer is always Occam's razor. What's available? Well, we have extremely advanced radar technology in every transmitter that does our telecom, because those are very advanced radar systems, and they can using a lot of beams simultaneously, they can actually actuate a part of your brain that's like 3 millimeters cubed. That's how precise this has gotten over the years,
Yeah.
and I guess since 2016 they were able to do it with some precision enough
Yeah.
to get this kind of stuff. But now that
Yeah.
massive MIMO has been released with 5G, it's become even more intense. And the thing is,
Right.
you see a boost in 2016 with people who are experiencing this, and then in 2020 it goes up again. So it seems to me like these boosts, these outbreaks, I call them, are related to technology releases in 3GGP's technology plans. Which 3GGP is kind of the consortium that is about all the technology related to telecom. And I think you can relate the technology releases, specific types like transmitter upgrades or new algorithms to do path loss or stuff like that. It can all be related in increases in TIs, in the amount of TIs.
Right.
I guess new groups of test subjects or
Right.
yeah,
Well, I
more
was on the
capacity.
program. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was firstly put on the program in 1979. but it was
Yep.
only for a brief period to give me a warning.
Right.
To
Yeah.
say, you're around powerful people. If you mess up, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
sort of didn't take heed of that. I
Yeah.
went traveling, done what I had to do. When I was 33 in 1995, that's when they put me on the program, the full
Yeah.
MK Ultra
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
And what they did, Daniel, is they actually made a piece of my brain on the right frontal lobe. It appeared to fold over. And
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a chat with Barry Trower this week. I went down to Devon with a couple of ladies. He actually knows how they did it, and I've
Would
got
it?
the video, and I'm going to put it up like, well, hopefully later.
Yeah. Could it be that there was a thermoacoustic technology involved there?
He explained it,
Because
but I'm so scrambled. I've got
right.
so much
Yeah.
information at the moment because
Well,
it
the
does
thing
that
is,
to us, doesn't it?
the voice to skull part, what the people call voice to skull, is the voices in the head thing. It's a synthetic
Yes,
schizophrenia
yes.
part of it, right?
Well, but
Well, that
V2K's voice
yeah,
of God,
yeah,
there's quite a few different
all of that,
terminologies. Yes.
all of that is a combination of two things these days. Anyway, it used to be purely a thermoacoustic effect, and a thermoacoustic effect is when you have a system that in a let's say well, we'll call it a phonon or a Hamiltonian. It's a molecule, a bunch of molecules, and they vibrate, right? You can apply heat and influence this vibration, and thereby in the brain you can influence the brain activation patterns. So you can influence neural populations. So what the first voice to skull stuff did in the 60s, 70s was purely thermal. So it uses thermoacoustics only. And what that does is it takes microwaves and it kind of inundates your head with a specific pulsed frequency. And this pulsed frequency heats up ever so slightly, heats up molecules in the brain, mostly water, and this is transduced into pressure waves, sound waves, and the sound waves are what you pick up. Now, the modern variant, I think, is a bit more advanced, and it uses both that and more approaches like auditory brainstem response, frequency following response, using all kinds of different uh, simultaneous frequencies. But that's not probably not going to be thermoacoustic, but a thermoacoustic process could very well, at high enough power, tear apart brain structures. And that's what's seen in Havana syndrome. The people who came forward who went to hospital, they had like you know real damage,
Yeah.
which is what it can do. That yeah. So
I know I must have a lot of damage. I'm aware of that because they blocked my brain and they'd
mhm.
actually stopped me having thoughts and
Yep,
replaced it
yep,
with full V2K, Daniel.
yeah. That's what happened to me as well. But I'm lucky
Oh,
because I went. That's a thing. At first, they thought I was having psychotic disorder or schizophrenia or something because of the drug use, you know. But
right.
I quit all the drug use and it just continued.
Yeah.
But then
Well,
later,
that's their cover up. You
yes,
know
but
that. And like
yeah,
Barry said, this is their end game. Their
yeah, but
end game is to either get us
yeah,
into a mental place, is to diagnose us with false diagnosis, or get us
yeah,
out the way.
that's it. But the thing that happened to me was that for the longest time, I had a very hard time convincing people around me. Only my best
Yeah.
friends believed me,
Wow, you're
and
lucky they believed you.
yes, and they really supported me through all this a long time, and
Oh,
I've
good for
lived at my
them.
friend's place for a while. But then, my friends started noticing things as well, like strange things happening in the apps, and my other friend was with me at one time, and my banking app just stopped working out of the blue when I had to do my shopping, and my heart rate went up a lot, stuff like that. So he already knew something was not right.
Right,
So
good
he
for
was on my
him.
side. Yeah,
What a
yeah,
good man. What a
yeah.
good friend.
So later, much later, only a few weeks ago, I discovered a little trick. And because there's a guy called Peter, and he runs a Dutch website called stopeg.nl. And I had a
Okay.
chat with him. I had a chat with him a while back, like a couple months ago. I went to visit him just to talk about, what does he do? What do I do? How can we maybe join forces? And at the end of it, he gave me he cut a bit of material for me as a present, and it's Y Shield MCL61, and it's a radiation shielding and absorbing material. So what I did is I took that stuff and I put it on a cardboard box and I just made it so it almost sealed everything. And then I took the phone with the Hair Boost app and I set it to record at 200% and I put it down. And then I put the box on my head and then I just started walking around, taking my mobile phone with me, walking around and then sitting down for a while. And standing up, walking around, sitting down for a while, maybe going to prone position, standing up, stuff like that. And then when I switched it off again, I took the box off my head. I noticed that there were radar chirps audible in the audio. Um, so like a real radar chirp. So that was my discovery of a pulse Doppler human tracking surveillance radar, basically.
Wow.
Um, so that's how I discovered how they do the course kind of not fine but course tracking of where is the guy, where is he moving to, is he sitting still, where's his
Right.
head, where's his feet, where's his arms, so to speak. That's what this
Yeah.
thing does. And I think that's part one. That's part one of the system. And then part two of the system is this massive MIMO beamforming system, which utilizes two basic things. First of all, it has most probably got that imaging system in it whereby it can, using electromagnetics only, scan your brain at a very high rate, a very high resolution. But it also has the directed energy weapon component. So if you've been a target for some while and you have the physical complaints like pain in your feet or tingling or vibrations, that kind of stuff, it targets glands, it targets gums, it targets kidneys, it targets eyes,
Yeah.
joints, genitalia, everything
Yeah.
that's weak, everything that can be
Yeah.
easily damaged, right? So
Daniel,
yeah,
I've had two lumps appear in my throat. They
yeah,
cut two lumps out in 10 years.
yeah,
They gave me bladder cancer.
yeah,
I
yeah.
believe, I know they've damaged my eyes. This is the fourth pair of glasses
Ah, yeah.
since November, the fourth different prescription. These are no good now. I
No, that
can't,
goes.
these are
Yeah,
no good. So
yeah,
they've done my eyes as well. They've
yeah,
broken my inner ear
yeah,
bones.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I found out how they did that. Barry told me how they did that. I've got all that to publish as well. And
Good, yeah.
my teeth are rotten. So
Yeah, that's what
so
they target the gums like this. They go, it
yeah,
goes back and forth, you know.
look, yeah,
Yeah,
no teeth. They've
yeah,
done all
yeah, yeah,
these.
yeah.
They're rotten, you
They
know.
do that.
So they've done all that. Yes,
They do everything to make you sick or either sick or appear sick. So
yeah,
when someone's sick, you automatically it's an automatic human response to think of them with a less regard of their abilities. You
yes,
know, it's a very psychological game they're playing. So if you have
yeah,
bad teeth, someone's going to judge you as being somebody who doesn't take
yeah,
care of themselves. You know, that's how it
yeah,
works. But anyway, back to the radar system. So it has two systems. It has a sensing imaging part, and it has a targeting two targeting parts. Actually, one is the voice, and one is basically a system built to target specific parts of your body, like you were saying,
yeah.
but always sensitive tissues, and sometimes just to annoy you. Ah, balloons.
I think all I did was scratch my eye.
uh, anyway, so this system that targets your body. What I've been noticing as I got attuned to the system and I was paying attention, because the longer your target, the more you start to notice.
Yeah,
I started really trying to feel what was happening, and what I discovered was it's not just a beam. It's a beam that makes a specific circular motion like this, and it sometimes goes wider and then it goes faster, but it's always circular and it
right.
does that, you know. So what it is doing, of course, it has to move, but I think it's doing two things. Once the radar's got your gross course position, the beams come in random, and they search and they measure the kind of tissue there that they are on, and they sort of get an image of your body as well, and then that's wide. And then once it's found, for instance, this part of your, it's probably something we all recognize, a very painful point here or here, it just stops the beam there and does a very fine circle like that, and it keeps kind of massaging that point with a specific modulation that's produced to, or that's made um, to cause a neural behavior in that part of the skin to make it painful or tingling or
Right.
cold or warm or whatever. It
Yeah,
can do all those things, but it starts just hovering like that.
Yeah,
That's what it
wow.
does. So it's like circular moving beams. And what system is better at that? But our cell tower system. That's
Yeah,
what these things are built for. They're phased array radars. They're MIMO radars. They have virtual arrays. They can interface with all kinds of software that's known and unknown, because been a NATO summit in Prague in 2002, and that NATO summit was the moment after 9/11 when all this surveillance was massively increased, right? And the Americans and the Europeans decided that it would really be a good idea to start a fast response force, like a strike force in Europe, a military strike force. But to do that, I think that was just a cover story, because to do
yeah,
that, they would have to upgrade European intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance infrastructure. And at the time, 4G wasn't even active much yet. So that that's when the military started pouring billions and billions and billions into 4G and later into 5G. I think it's all an outgrowth of that decision then, because these networks, these transmitters, once they come into the country from wherever they're delivered, I don't know, Norway or Sweden or something, or China. They first pass through military intelligence, who do tech int on them and figure out if they have backdoors or not. But then a part of that NATO summit documentation says the US is able to upgrade through hardware or software patches the functionality of these transmitters, of this hardware, to make it do things it wasn't initially supposed to do. And I found another document that says they are able to use exploits in the transmitter hardware and software in countries where they don't have as much influence. So they can still make it do what it's not supposed to do. But the point is, they have built something called ORAN, which is Open Radio Access Network, which is like a layer that sits above the network, and it allows computers to control sort of what the transmitters are doing. And I think that's where they can upload this software patches, together with an upgraded transmitter, which has some secret source in it somewhere. I think that's how this whole system is put together, and it's continually upgraded. Um, so yeah, I think we really, as a community, have to start looking at the spectrum. We have to start looking at the spectrum and not theorizing about vercators or what do you call those again? Uh, those bone Aronoff scalar waves.
okay, right.
It's all not
Ah,
scientifically doesn't hold any
right.
water.
So that's probably misinformation and
Yes,
disinformation.
yes.
Right. Oh, fabulous.
I have some good books on radar engineering and directed energy
Right.
weapons, which all
No,
state that it's
you sound
yeah,
amazingly intelligent to me, and I know that you know your stuff by the way that you're talking. And I'm hoping that the community will listen to you and I, because this is
yeah.
for real, isn't it?
Yeah, we
You
really
know,
have to start working together
a
and
hundred
start losing
percent.
some baggage and really focusing on the radio spectrum, getting ourselves as much gear as we can afford, and just pick
Yeah,
apart every signal we can find until we have
yeah.
identified exactly what's going
I've
into a cell.
actually,
Yeah,
I've actually. It's
yeah,
funny you should say that, because today I've actually done all the photocopying of what I came back with all the signals and everything else from Mr.
oh yes,
Trower
I remember.
from
Yeah, I've seen the
Barrett.
video. Yeah,
Yes, well, I've actually got all the I've actually got all of this now, and this is
yeah,
everything that we're going to need, and
yeah,
hopefully, um, I've copied all of this. I've scanned everything this morning, today, and
yeah.
I'll upload everything,
I could
and
use that.
anything.
Yeah.
Right after the chat, give me your email, and I'll send you the folder of all this.
Oh sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
I'll send my email and my websites and stuff anyway, so you can put them
Yes,
as a
great.
text on the video at the end or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
No,
So,
that is enlightening. Sorry.
so another two things I've been working on, and I'm going to finish one of them pretty soon, which is a simple thing. It's going to be a logbook application, and it's going to just run online, and people are going to be able to make an account, but they won't have to leave any details they don't want to, but it's going to be a logbook application. So at any point when you're having symptoms, you just enter what they are, and if you're hearing something, you enter some keywords of what's being said in your head,
Right.
and you just log it. and that way,
Daniel, as we're
yeah,
talking, sorry to butt in, but we need to work together. You know,
yes,
we need to firmly work together because
yes,
we can share and help a lot of people.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like I've got details of the protection as well
Oh,
that
good.
people.
Yes,
Yeah, I did get this. And Barry, I want to give a big shout out to Barry Trower. What a man! You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
what a beautiful man, and to chat and his beautiful wife Linda. They're
yeah,
very, very special people. But
yeah.
he's given. I've got all of the details, and I've got
All
the
right.
protection as well.
Okay.
And I will pass that on to you and all of
Yeah,
the community. And you know that there's so much stuff that I've got to share,
yeah, yeah.
and I've got so much to do. But I'll get this done in the next day or two.
Yeah, it's
And
good
and
because I have like a two-pronged attack. Yeah, that's my thought. It's got to be a two-pronged attack. The first one is take out the tracking. If you take out the tracking, the system doesn't know where to target. The second one, if you can do something with the signals by, for instance, bouncing them back to the transmitter with higher power or something, you can. I
yeah.
don't know, it's illegal. It's illegal, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, but look at our
uh,
friend John. Look at our friend.
yeah,
Look at our poor friend John McAfee. Are you
yes,
familiar with John?
yes, I know
What?
his story. Yes,
He was living in a Faraday cage. You know,
yes, that's what I'm going to do as
with
well.
an
Yeah,
eight-way jammer.
yeah,
Who,
yeah.
who should have to live like that?
Well, targeted individual.
Hey,
Yeah, targeted
exactly.
individual.
Isn't it
Yeah,
awful? Yeah, but who should
yeah,
have to? You know, we've got to adjust our lives to
yeah.
all of this because these people are hurting us for
Ah,
whatever reason they want to, isn't it?
yeah. There's a couple reasons. One is some people are just seen as easy test subjects, and
Yeah,
I think I first fell into that category. But I think other people are seen as a threat because of what they can do and
yeah,
what they know.
yeah,
So and they're not
exactly.
aligned with the
I
interests of
agree.
certain states, nation states.
Yeah,
So they're picked out, and then they're
yeah.
probably people who have money and they want the money. That's
Yeah, but why did they
yeah,
pick me? Why did they pick me?
yeah, yeah. I don't know what I don't know much about your
Because
background, but
well,
yeah.
I messed up a marriage. I've had a couple of
Oh yes,
marriages,
yeah,
and I was a compulsive gambler and a drinker and a
right.
smoker and
So
everything else.
that's a common denominator. It's an addiction to something or another, and
Yeah,
having a rough breakup. That's when you often see it start. So
yeah. Well, they
that's
put me
very
on the
yeah,
program 6 months after my wife had taken my son away to go back to Bratislava, and I
oh
was
yeah,
on the program 6 months later.
yes, yeah. They
And
always grab you when you're at your weakest point. You know,
yeah,
that's easiest for them to lock onto your brain because it's trauma based. So they, you know,
well, yeah,
they're very opportunistic. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
What an enlightening! I tell you, Daniel, what you've said is we're gonna work together and we're gonna help a lot of people.
yeah,
Please God, you
yeah.
know,
Well, to get back to my story about the logbook application, what I want it to be is I want to get it to as many TIs as possible. They can just use it. What I want to hope to create is a data set
yeah,
that is able
yes,
to prove the epidemiology of this, all
right.
aspects of it, as a in a
What I'm doing at
scientifically
the
usable
moment,
format.
I'm just giving you permission
Yeah,
to share. Sorry, to share the screen. So
yeah,
anything you would like to share,
yeah,
you would be more than welcome if you want to share your website or
yeah.
anything.
I could share
Yes.
something. Let me see how it works because I haven't used this in
Right.
ages.
No problem.
So
Well, I've given you access to share the screen. And if you go to
right,
the bottom, you've got share screen
yeah.
and a green button with an
I
arrow.
have I have to set something in system preferences. Yeah, I can do it now. I have to
Okay.
import
Well, there's no
something.
hurry. It's,
There we are.
because I'm sure that our friends are going to be
Oh,
really
you know,
excited that they're going to start knowing that you know what you're talking about as
yeah.
well.
I, I have to restart Zoom, so I won't do it now. But
No, okay, okay, no
I
problem.
will upload everything always to storage.subliminalindustries.eu. That's a document server. It's a very
Right.
simple file
Well, if
server,
you
nothing
give me
else.
the links to anything and
Yes.
everything, I'm very happy to share everything.
Yeah. And then I'm working on on the front page of the website still. That's under
I'll tell
construction.
you
That
what we can do. Why
yeah.
don't we do a 5 minute catch up with your stuff next time so we can
Yeah,
share
sure.
everything?
Yeah, let's do that.
And
Yeah.
I'll be able to share all of this as well in the same throw.
Yeah, and I can prepare a little presentation maybe with the
Yes,
basic points of
great.
everything, and that would be a good way to do it. But what I was saying, yeah, about the lookbook, it's meant to create a scientifically usable data set from all people all over the world with coarse geographic data, so they don't have to add their street name or address or anything, just maybe city scale or region scale, just so you get that kind of epidemiology going in a data set, and every type of symptomology you can think of, like the paresthesia, the tinnitus, any types of specific comments, they can add them, and we'll use natural language processing to gather it into a usable format, and that's what I'm hoping to achieve with that. And let's see, there was another thing. Yes, the AI is going to be working in a couple of weeks. I think I'm working on that. It just doesn't work now. It just answers that it hasn't been trained yet. But yeah, so that's in the works. So yes, all I can say as a real something we really need to do is to bring together the community, which is really
Yeah,
fragmented. And to that end, I've been preparing a manifesto, and that will be the front page of subliminalindustries.eu. And that manifesto, I think, will be very important. It has everything from what targeting is, what it's like, uh, how it's done, to what can you do when you're targeted and you have proof. How should you protect yourself? It's got everything in there. It's like a targeting manual almost, and it goes as
brilliant.
far as when you want to do a lawsuit. How which kind of types of people do you need to have involved? Stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to be
Absolutely
done pretty soon.
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I look forward to working alongside you, Daniel. I think I know your heart's in the right place. What an intelligent gentleman you are, and
yeah.
a total respect to you.
Yeah, I think they underestimated that because at the point that the targeting started, I was really stupid. My brain wasn't going very well, but
Right.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you see, they blocked mine
yeah,
for 26 years, and it's only
yeah,
the last couple of years. I didn't have a proper conversation for
yeah,
over
yeah.
25, 30, 27 years. And what they did, they stopped my learning ability.
Yes, that's what
So,
they do to me. Yeah, yeah,
right. Yeah, so
yeah.
when I was holding a conversation, I couldn't remember what they said because they
Any
wouldn't allow me to withhold hold the information.
yeah. Anytime I'm at work, when I have to work, they do that. So I can't
Right,
work, can't program properly,
right,
or when I want to learn something mathematical, they do it as well. So that I
right.
can't remember mathematics. So I have to do everything with spreadsheets and blah blah. But
Wow.
yeah, there was one other thing that was important. Yes, I want to ask the viewers if you're capable of doing it. Go to my Twitter, which is let me see. My Twitter is not yet Subliminal Industries, but it's
Hang on.
Twitter. Yeah,
If you tell me it,
it's
I'll
at
be up. Hang on.
yeah
Let me just get Twitter up and I'll share it. Right.
yeah
It's at. Hang on, mate. At.
D
Yep.
under what do you call that, underline kind of thing?
The underscore.
No, yes, underscore, and
Yep.
then R underscore Azulay, as in
Oh,
Azulay, and you'll
underscore.
get something
A-
called Subliminal Industries with
As
a
you
green,
lay.
yes, with a green eye.
As you. At D. Hang on. It's not
Let me
coming
see.
up. Let.
I'll give you a little chat in the notes functionality. One sec. I can
Oh, right. Yeah.
say
Okay.
create a note. I don't know how that works. Create a note.
Well, if you just go into the chat, just
Yeah,
click on the
enter chat.
chat. And
Oh,
that's
there it
it.
is. Yeah, that's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. Okay,
Okay,
this
mate.
one. Yeah,
Right, okay. Right, so I'm just going to click on that
yeah,
link. And obviously I'm following you. So what I'm going to
yeah,
quickly do is I'm going to share the screen with our
yeah.
friends.
And then
And hang
the
on,
the
mate.
pinned the pinned one up there.
This one
Pinned
here.
no, down there. It says something about the first post, so to speak.
Right,
So it's
okay,
a
here.
pinned post.
Yes,
If
yes.
everybody is viewing watches that
Right.
entire thread,
I'm going to
yeah,
re quote this.
yeah,
And I'm just having a chat with Danielle.
yeah,
Please
yeah.
refer
the thread, the post thread has the instructions about the box with the material and recording. So I'm hoping that many people can record this pulse Doppler that's tracking them. And if many people can record that, we have a very solid base for lawsuits everywhere. So, because that's not supposed to be happening, is it? I mean, yeah,
So I'm sorry about this. I've just got into the hang. I've got to put our targeted individual friends
yeah,
and most recently, only up until 6 years ago, this is Daniel, and
yeah.
basically our Havana syndrome friends as well.
Oh yes, I
You,
keep forgetting that one. Oh
you
yeah,
know, so I copy everybody in it
yeah,
because I know this is going to sound horrible, but when Havana syndrome, this was a coup for me
yeah,
because I've been reporting this for so many years. Now, all of a sudden, all of these diplomats are being attacked the same way as I had already been attacked for
yeah,
22 years previous, and
yeah.
nobody had listened to me or any
Of
of us.
course. But that Havana syndrome, I've made a separate post about that. I mean, that's a complete false flag. You cannot get close to an embassy with a directed energy weapon without being noticed by the Secret Service, the CIA, the CBs, Navy CBs, the STS, or any other group of people that are actively protecting embassies. You can't. You just can't. So there's no way in hell those people came close to the living quarters or the embassy with a weapon like that. No way. The American sensor array is much too powerful. It will detect any unauthorized entry or use of an electromagnetic weapon. They would have caught the person behind it by now. So it's not that. I think it was a false flag. Simple. It's simple. Embassies are too well protected. U.S. embassies are too well protected. So it's a bullshit
Bless
story.
you,
It really is.
Daniel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anything else you want to say until the next time, Daniel?
Let's
It's
have a look
entirely
what I've
up to
missed.
you, mate.
What have I missed? Well, yes, one thing I'd like to advise every TI to do is log everything. Try to
Yes,
record as much as you can using HearBoost. Even if your friends can't hear the voices, just record it. There is information in the audio. At some point in the future, I'm very sure an AI will be able to transcript it back into text.
great.
Then, what else? I like to encourage everyone to learn about radio spectrum, RF engineering. Software-defined radios are very cheap. You can buy one for $25 or euros, and you just stick an antenna on, plug it in, and you can look at the spectrum between I don't know 50 megahertz and 1850 megahertz. So yeah, everyone should get interested in RF technology because that is what all these technologies, even if they start using nanotechnology, it still has to communicate. And how will it do
Right.
that? Through the radio spectrum. So we need to be on top of the radio spectrum. That's
Right.
the message.
And everything that I get, I will send it to you, Daniel. And we're
Yeah,
going to work closely together, please, my friend.
sure.
And
Yes, of course.
let's get this shit, let's get this
Yeah,
stopped, and
yeah,
let's try and have a bit of a normal life if we can,
yeah. We
whatever
really have
we've
to.
got left.
We have
Hey,
to stamp it into the ground. I mean, this is evil
yeah.
beyond all proportions.
It, it, it,
This is the Nazis' wet dream: is having invisible concentration camps. I
exactly.
mean, and
It's
making
ex
money off it.
it's
Uh,
exactly. Well,
yeah,
because we're also fairly knowledgeable or fairly confident in the knowledge that we're actually
yeah,
being sold by insurance companies as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I know. I've heard that rumor,
Yeah,
and that's why
because we've got a late.
that's why I brought up the thing about when you lose your house.
Yeah,
There's a probability it will
yeah,
be bought up by one of the
exactly.
big. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a very sad
absolute
situation.
wonderful chatting
Uh,
to you, Daniel.
yeah.
Anything
Yeah. Good to
else you
chat
would
to you.
like to share, mate?
Well, for now, I think that was the main message, and
Great,
I'll be putting up stuff online every now and then
right,
I have
great.
to put it into
What
words and into graphics, what I
Right.
just described about the
So
radio system. But
would you please copy me in on a tweet with all your details so that I can share it? Because
yeah,
once we finish this, I'm upload it raw, Daniel. So
yeah,
everything that we've said will go straight up in 10 minutes raw. And okay, mate. And then we're going to catch up in a day or two because we've got other stuff to talk about.
yeah, good stuff. Yeah, let's do
All
that.
right.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. was
All
nice talking
right.
to you.
Like,
Yeah,
nice to meet you, Dan. Lovely to
yeah,
talk to
good
you.
stuff.
And
Yeah,
God bless you, mate.
yeah, you too.
And
Yeah,
all right. Thanks
yeah.
ever so much,
Have a
Daniel.
good day. Yeah, yeah. We'll talk soon.
Yes, you too.
Okay.
Cheers,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Cheers.